Hello. So, this is a follow-up video to my Table of Tongues videos. And so this is part 3. And in this part, I'm going to be talking about what I call laws of 3, or composite order. So, the first law, well, first I should, tell you about what these laws are concerned with. Okay, so if you watch the other two videos, I mentioned that I'm trying to figure out how to understand every single language, and do it all by a singular approach, so to speak. And so what the laws of 3 refers to are they refer to how you create words whilst you're unawares in the process of creating language. So from a very unsophisticated point towards some level of sophistication. So the 3 laws. The first law is assume. So it's and that equals a momentary assumption of whatever it is. So if you're going towards something that is unfamiliar to you, the first thing, if you are moving towards sophistication of language, the first thing that I've identified that is going to occur is you're going to make an assumption in the moment of what is, right? So that's why the first law is assume. The second law is form. So and this is what is assumed in moment to be. So this is, there's some relation going on with this second law. The third law is fashion. So what connects what connects formation to momentary assumption? That's what fashion is. The law of fashion. And so what this is there's a context, and this is really what fashion pertains to. There's a context. And so when you are unsophisticated, arriving at a language, arriving at a tongue of an uncivilized people, and unsophisticated people, but you're becoming so sophisticated, you are going to relate things that are unfamiliar to context. And so this is fashioning the form and the assumption, framing it, so to speak. And so fashion is the third law. And so assume, form, fashion, that's composite order, what I call composite order. And because you're making a composite to understand something that you don't yet understand, to add some sophistication to something that is, partially, if not wholly, to your current perception obscured. So the laws of 3, composite order. And so I've got some examples here. So let's take the word extinction. Now the assumption is momentary finality. The form is thing, and the fashion is station. note T equals surface part to submerged part link. In other words, T is irrelevant in words like extinction and distinction. So I've got some examples here to explain why the assumption of extinction is momentary finality. And so execution, executive, exclamation. What does the X have in common with these words and with extinction? Well, there's the hint of momentary finality. Now, and so one has to speculate, and the only way to really arrive at these conclusions is through speculation. One has to speculate that early man would look at a thing, and so the form is thing, right? In the word extinction, the form is thing. He would look at a thing. Thing is obscured, of details, right? You're not going to find the details, because this is before you find the details. This is when you are venturing forward to the thing. So there's still some distance between you and the thing, and so you're not looking at it myopically. It's still cyclopic, your view. So you're going to have an assumption of the thing, and the assumption of the thing is going to be created through a reaction of how you feel about the thing, because you can't really think any answer for what the thing is yet, because thinking would advise you to to make the judgment after you've had a full consideration of the thing. So but early man doesn't have time for that. So what early man does is early man goes off of feeling or instinct. And so in the case of extinction, it's momentary finality. Something has ended, essentially. And what has ended is the form, the thing in this case. And the fashion is the station, or the state, in other words, right? It is the context. The context that has the thing behaving to it, so being possessed by it, right? So in frame, the thing has ended. So that's extinction. And the other example for the laws of three is distinction. So the assumption here is momentary distance. The form, again, is thing. And the fashion is, again, is station. And so some other words to provide backup for what I'm saying: discount, disable, disconnect. So these are the words starting with dis, D-I-S. And so what do they have in common? They refer to distance, but not just distance, momentary distance. Because again, your early man was working off of assumption, working off of instinct, feeling, and because unfamiliar with the object form, right? So it was an assumption of a thing within a station, because early man wouldn't have thought in a sophisticated manner to describe the station as a context. And the early man didn't arrive at the word contextualize. Early man, that was an adaptation, that word. Early man would have arrived at words that were less sophisticated than station and state, but moving towards the sophistication of station and state. That would have been early man's idea of context, right? So modern people, nowadays we think of context, and it involves all these intricacies. It involves these parameters for our perception and for our reception. So the facts and the truth are sort of contained within the um, you know possibilities in frame. See, that's how we nowadays we view that's what our state is nowadays. It's context. It's more thorough. It's more of an analytical term. Early man and early woman, they didn't have early people didn't have context. They didn't think of it like that. That because a lot of the formation of language was driven by assumption, from instinct, from feeling. The fashion also, so what we think of as context was shaped by instinct, shaped by feeling. So station, state, home, essentially, territory. This is what early man would perceive as context. This would be the frame, pre round Earth, right? Well, pre round Earth, okay, really pre round Earth. This would be the understanding of context, and so that's something to keep in mind. But yeah, anyway, the laws of three composite order. So this with extrapolation to origin to branch understanding of language, plus my table of tongues, I'm well on my way to figuring out how to get my mind to absorb every language, and as understood. I'm not yet at the point to be able to speak every language, and certainly not at the point to be able to speak every language fluently, but to understand every language, I'm getting closer and closer. And so the laws of three composite order, that is helping me. So when you look at words, think of the assumption, think of the form, think of the fashion, and that break it down, and then you're going to understand what that word actually means. There's a lot of people, they jump to the conclusion that the word is just what it means in the dictionary, what it says in the dictionary. This is a very surface impression of what a word means. It's a very ignorant impression. The reality is that words keep evolving throughout time. And there's a great movie called The Professor and the Madman. I think that's what the name of it is. Stars Mel Gibson and Sean Penn, and it's about the making of the first Oxford English dictionary, if I'm recalling correctly. And anyway, it goes into how you can never complete. You can never complete a crystallized. You can never complete a crystallized, objective, modern comprehension of language. It just can't be done. You can create a crystallized understanding of the grammar for all language, and that's what I'm trying to do, because then you can understand all language. And once you understand all language, then it becomes easier to adopt a tongue, so to speak, and then you're well on your way. Anyway, I just wanted to make this part 3, and yeah, it's something to think about. Have a good day. Peace. Meow.